everyone, welcome to WW Designs. My name is Nikki and today we are going to make some grungy ephemera. I have in front of me a large A3 page that I have taken from a sketchbook that I bought from Craft on clearance. You probably don't have A3 paper, but that doesn't matter. Use any size that you have. I just thought this would be a fun size. I can make lots of ephemera and you could just use 2 A4 pages or whatever you've got. It doesn't matter. So we're going to keep things nice and simple. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to do some spraying with coffee spray. I just make this up. I always have this handy. It's just a couple of big spoons of instant coffee mixed with some boiling water in a little glass jug. And then when it's cold, I transfer it into here. Once I made the mistake of putting the coffee and the boiling water in here straight away, guess what? I melted my spray bottle. So I will never do that again. So just to get things started, we're going to give this a good spray. Just good general cover up. What I've done, I've put a big black rubbish bag on my desk to protect it. I don't want coffee and paint and grungy stuff all over my desk. So they work really well as a protectant. So what we're going to do, we're just going to let this dry for a few minutes, not for too long, but I would just give it a few minutes before we move on to the next bit. Now, the next thing we're going to do is some paint smushing. Now, I know when a lot of people do grungy things, they use distress oxides, but I appreciate that not everybody has them in their stash. I happen to have some, so that's fabulous, but I thought we're going to try it with some watercolour. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up a little bit of colour. So that means just putting some water in the pan. These are just super cheapy paints, but honestly, for crafting purposes, they're just my absolute favourite. And then we're going to add lots more water. Now, the reason being is I don't want bright colours if we're doing grungy stuff. We just want to be able to make some colour on the page, but not a lot. So now I'll just move this aside for a minute. Pick this up, pop that on there, get my coffee stained page here. Now, just FYI, I've noticed that the filming, because it's a really grey dull day today, this looks as though it's still very white. It's not. It is well covered in coffee. Everything already has that brownish tinge, but on the camera, it's looking as though I still have a lot of white. So I just thought I'd let you know that. Then we're going to grab our watercolour paint and we're just going to gently smush some around. We'll make a little bit more. And then we're going to do the same thing, but I think we'll use a bit of green this time. So I'm just swooshing all that around here and we're going to add some here. We're doing exactly the same thing. You need very little colour. Add more water because we just want to add some little hints of colour, not too much. And of course, when these dry, they will dry considerably lighter. That's normal with watercolour. Okie doke. And I think we'll also add a little bit of, oh, let's have a look. Let's see, I'll surprise you. Here we go. We're going to add a little bit of this maroni purpley colour, very watered down. Okay. think we might go for a little bit, we'll go for add a tiny bit more, slightly darker blue, because it just ends up so light. Just a few bits. There we go. Now, the next thing we're going to do, we're going to grab our coffee yet again. And this time we're just going to press really slowly and try and get a few bigger blobs. And then we're going to take off the lid and we're going to just tap some on. Now that's not working that as well as I would like. I'd like a few darker bits. So what I'm going to do, I have a little plastic pipette here, which we're going to have a go with, because I want a few darker blobs. See what I mean here? And if we leave these alone, they will dry and leave a great pattern on our paper. I think we'll leave it at that. Now, we have to let this dry. I could get a hairdryer on it, but I think I'll just let it do its thing naturally. That way I don't risk spreading all these out so that you can't see them. But if you're in a rush, you can grab a hairdryer for this bit. Well, you know how I said I was going to let it dry on its own. I didn't do as I said. I had to pick it up and move it because I wanted the space on my desk while it was drying. And of course, all my coffee splodges ended up all over the place. So I left it on the floor where it was to dry, and I added a few more splotches. So you may see that it looks a little bit different than what it did before, and that's the reason why. But we have one more little thing I want to add to these before we start actually making ephemera with it. So I have this little thing I got from work. It's where deodorants come in a box. So we're going to add some splatters. So all we're going to do is just grab some acrylic paint. We're going to pop it a little bit in. Don't need too much. We're going to add some water. I just keep a little spray bottle handy. And we're going to mix it up. Just to water it down a little bit so it's not so thick. And that way it will actually splatter. Whoops-a-daisy, my arm just got stuck to the plastic. Bit more water. And I'm just using a fan brush for this. An old headless brush. I just keep the stick and we just add some splatters. I don't need them everywhere, just a few. Please excuse the noise in the background. The guy across the road is playing with his car and something's happening to his alarm. It's driving me mental. So I grabbed the black and gave my brush a quick rinse while I was at it. Done exactly the same thing, added some water, and now we're just going to tap on a few black bits. We'll end up with all different sizes. That's fine. And we're going to do one more bit. I like adding copper when I'm doing grungy things. It just gives things a very pretty highlight. So I've done exactly the same thing. And we're going to add some copper dots. There we go. Now we are going to leave this to dry and then we're going to start chopping it up. Well, my A3 sheet doesn't quite look the same anymore. I have cut it up into random pieces, not with any specific idea of what I'm going to do with them. That's the whole fun of doing things like this. It's a bit like when you create masterboards. You don't always have a set plan. You can cut it up into random bits and then turn it into ephemera. But I have one more layer of grunge I want to add before we actually turn it into specific items. So what I've done, I've gone through my stash of stamps, and what I've picked here is random lettering type arrangements. I don't want anything specific, because when you actually use these to create ephemera, that's when you can get specific, like whether we want to make little labels or journal cards. You can then add specific decoration for whatever journal you're making. In this case, I just want to add a little bit more grunge, and the easiest way is to grab out some winky wonky, like these don't read anything in particular. They're the sort of stamps you want to use for this. So for example, we're going to grab this one here. There is sort of some little bottles on this, but unless you stamp it out very clearly, you would never know that. But let's have a go with this one. And what I'm going to do, instead of black ink, which is what you usually use when you're making grungy stuff, for these base bits, I'm actually going to use brown and also this crimson copper one, just to add a little bit more detail. So we're going to we're not even going to use a stamp block, because the whole idea of this is to just add a few little grungy bits like that. Can you see? Just little tiny bits. And then when you've run out of ink, grab another one and give them all a little bit of a shuffle. So we're going to end up with just, you know, sometimes it might just be the tiniest little bit, but it just gives some really interesting bases to work with. So we'll pop that one down. Let's grab another one. I don't want to go crazy with this. I don't want everything to be covered in text. That sort of is not what we're trying to do here. We just want to add some little bits of extra grunge. It will look fabulous when it's done, I promise you. It just gives a really great look. And we grab another one. See, and the reason why I'm not using a stamp block, I don't want definite edges. I just want to add some little bits of grunge. So let's pull these, change all these around a bit, because we want to try and get a little bit on all of them. Some of them may end up with a little bit of all of it, and that's fine too. That's why we're not trying to be specific about this. We're just random stamping. So up here, down here, anywhere, it doesn't matter. Maybe sort of try and avoid places that already has it, but then it wouldn't hurt if you doubled up a little bit either, and then had like a double layer of bit of grunge happening somewhere. Okay, let's grab another one. Let's see, what have we got here? I've no idea what that is, but how about we add a little bit? Shuffle these around again. Make sure you dig down deep so that you don't have the ones hidden down the bottom that end up with nothing. Right, let's get rid of that one for the moment. Okay, here we go. And when I put ink on stamps, I like to put the ink on top of the stamp, not... oh, yes, that's a good one. I like this one. Instead of putting the stamp down, I find that's when you get those messy edges. I don't like that. Oh, I like this one. Let's add a bit more of this. That's very grungy looking. I love it. Okay. And let's do one more. What else have I got here? Oh, this has a couple of dark, dirty patches too. So why not do that? Again, just giving them all a shuffle around so that hopefully all of them end up with a little bit of something on them. It doesn't matter. You can, of course, go back later when you're actually making things and add grunge. But this is just a fun way of doing some beforehand. Now, we're just going to pick one more and add a tiny little bit of, no, actually, let's grab a bigger one. This one here looks pretty cool. And I'm going to add a little bit of this lovely copper. Now, this is quite bold, but again, it's not black. So that is a great way just to add a little bit of fun and highlights, but not in black. We're just sort of trying to avoid that. So that way, when we actually decorate bits, the things we're decorating it with will stand out so much better. Bit there. Maybe a tiny bit on here. And I think we will leave that. So now I have let all these dry, and if you have a look up close, can you see how all this fabulous extra little bit of grunge looks on these? I love doing it this way. See, perfect. And all of this just, it will melt down into the background when you start adding other decoration, but it's just a little bit of extra goodness. I love them. So what I'm going to do is I will call this video quits for now, and then in my next video we will actually turn this into ephemera. So until next time, stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you soon.